Howdy. Welcome to Rebuilding Hollers, Come Hell or High Waters podcast. My name is Stephanie Johnson, and I will be the host for your host for the evening. I have missed y'all. It has been a few weeks since we have been had a live podcast. I'm sorry about that. It's been crazy. I thought for sure after a year since Helene, surely things would calm down. Surely I would be able to catch up. Surely everything would slow down, but no way. It has become 10 times more crazy. But I'm so thankful. I'm so excited to share with y'all all of the things that are happening here in Western North Carolina, specifically in Yancey and Mitchell County. As you know, that is where I live. And those are the two counties that I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to get rebuilt. Um, while we're here on live, you can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Kick. And if you have any questions or if you would like to chat with us during the live, just type in hashtag rebuilding and ask your question. And Russ will pop that up on the screen so that we can see your question. That will be awesome. So I really have missed everybody, y'all. This has been the craziest September/October ever. I mean, it's already October the 24th. I'm just completely blown away. We have been so crazy busy. Of course, we've got so many projects going. Right now, we have 577 projects. We did have another one hit the complete list. So we have 106 of those complete. So we're super excited about that. I did want to give you an update on some of them. We've got some really cool stuff happening. Project number 3 has their foundation done, and the subfloors are in. They've been putting the Advantex on those, so I'm excited about that. Project number 8, I think y'all saw the video last week. The framing is done. The roof is on. I was talking to them today about siding, so they are making amazing progress. Project number 9 had a couple hiccups, but they are back on track. So the framing now, basically what happened is we had a septic tank collapse. And the septic tank collapse happened right where one of the footers was going for the porch. And so we had to fix the septic tank, but we had to be very, that had to be permitted and inspected, and there are a bunch of moving parts for that. So we got that done. Then we were able to get that footer poured. Then we were able to get the slab poured. So now the rest of the roof is going on. So we're real excited about that. Our friends from Ohio have been here this week, and they have killed it at project number 9. They've got so much done. Project number 11 is home. I'm so excited about that. I got to see them last week, and they're so excited, and I'm so excited for them. Project number 12 is getting ready to start their metal framing, so that's super exciting. Project 34, y'all know that's the one that we got it jacked up and leveled, and then we decided to go ahead and do a little bit more reinforcement there with the I-beam and some concrete pillars so that would be completely stable. If the water ever comes up again, it would just run through the house in the basement. So that's exciting. Project number 78 has their subfloor down, and they are getting their sheetrock done this week. So we're excited about that. Project 118 is moving right along. This week we got our inspection done on the electrical, the plumbing, or the rough-in electrical, plumbing, and gas lines. And so we started installation. So that is getting all done. I'm so excited about that. Project number 510, that's our very next small house that the high school is building. So the subfloor is built on that. I'm so excited about that. Then we also have a brand new project. Well, it's not brand new, it's on the list, but it's now part of our weekly updates. Project 174. They got their foundation poured this week, so we're real excited about that. And Project 475 has almost finished their framing. So we've got so many amazing things happening, so many projects making progress. I'm so excited for all of them. As we move here into winter, we're just pushing as hard as we can to try to get a lot of these gone through the winter and keep moving. So we're excited about that. The last few weeks we had a disaster convention we went to, and I did a podcast there. That was so amazing. And then the one thing I did not get to tell y'all about, I didn't post too much about it, but We had Micro here. Yeah, the Micro from Dirty Jobs was here in Birdsville. He came to the high school and he filmed with Jeremy and the kids at the high school. He was so cool. It was so awesome. We also took him to Project 118, so he was able to see that. So I don't want to tell you too much. We didn't post any pictures because we're so excited about what he is doing for us and helping us. So we're gonna let him tell a story, but that was so very cool and also intense. It's a lot when there's filming involved. So that was amazing. So I would like to tell y'all a little bit tonight. Let's see. Oh, Angela. Hi, Angela. That is our new friend from Fahi that I was telling y'all about, or y'all got to meet them a couple weeks ago. Um, we had such a great time going to that. I learned so much, and I'm still having meetings and talks with them about different ways to help us. So that's real exciting. We have a lot of things going on. I should have made a better list to tell you all about it, but we'll get there. So tonight we have a special guest. I'm most excited to introduce y'all to my friend Charles. He is with the Weather Channel, and Charles is from Springdale, um, and he is a storm chaser in a field weather reporter for the Weather Channel, and he travels across the country chasing many different types of weather. He spent 2 days here with me a couple of weeks ago, going around and seeing our different projects, and that was pretty cool. Hearing his stories. Mainly, he is in the search for severe storms that contain tornadoes and also hurricanes and flooding, winter storms, and any form of weather that may impact the lives of people. He averages over 60,000 miles in this endeavor. I mean, that's a lot. He drives a lot. And he's also an incredible photographer. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to y'all my friend, Charles Peak from the Weather Channel. Welcome to the Rebuilding Hollers podcast.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. Happy to be here with you tonight.
Well, I'm so glad to have you. There's our friend Trisha jumping on saying, "Hey, friend."
Hey, Tricia. Now, you'll notice I don't have as fancy a background as Stephanie does. I'm still chasing some fall colors here. Was in North Carolina. Got to have dinner with y'all last night.
We did.
Then we made our way up. We're in Beckley, West Virginia today. So made it back over to the hotel. And so I've got the nice two beds behind me as a backdrop for you.
It's perfect. I love it. I'm just so glad you were willing to come and join us and talk to my neighbors a little bit about, some of the things you see because we are used to storms here, but not of course like what happened to us a year ago, but I find it fascinating. That's what you do. You chase the storms all over the country.
Yeah, I do. And then, for an example here, sometimes our country, not only does it have death and destruction from the storms, there's also a lot of beauty. And that's, when I get to do some of this kind of stuff to see that other side of it as well. But, I love the weather, and I like on tornadoes. My preference is seeing them out in open fields where it's not hurting anybody. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. And then, as you know, with hurricanes, and right now we're thinking of the people down around Jamaica, down there in the Caribbean, that we may have a big Cat 4, maybe Cat 5. And much like what y'all experienced there in North Carolina, we're really concerned. It's a mountainous area and the amount of flooding that could come through there. So we're just concerned, definitely something for people to keep in their thoughts and prayers,
Yes.
over these next few days as we see how that develops. And as you know, they have a mind of their own. We can't sit here and say exactly what it's going to do and where it's going to go.
Right. What is it projecting? I haven't got to see the projection yet. Have you seen that?
Yes, it's looking like it'll maybe come up towards maybe not a direct hit on Jamaica, but in those cases. So we'll see. I haven't kept
Right.
all the watching the forecast because I'm not part of it, but just know about it and everything. So as horrible as what y'all experienced, it is a situation that they could be facing similar situations.
I would say I think we all definitely take storms a whole lot more serious now. It's been a really dry fall here. Everybody's well, like my well is dry, has been dry for a couple weeks. And a couple of my other projects, I mean, I have hundreds of projects who just don't have water, but we've had more people saying their wells are dry, their springs are dry. And so we were wanting rain, and we got a little rain, and it was a pretty intense little storm. And I thought, oh man, we need rain, but I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, it was. I stopped when well, you were with me actually when we stopped by middle school, and the teachers there were talking about how the kids are still, just a thunderstorm coming through, and many of them are still. It's a traumatic event for them, and trying to work through, how they deal with it in a healthy manner, and
It's important.
It's not easy.
After you and I stopped by that school, actually, the next person I had on my podcast was mental health awareness, emotional support, that gave us some different coping mechanisms and techniques to work through the stress and trauma that can cause. What I didn't think about was the smells and the sounds, like everything. There's my friend Sheila. She says, "Thank you, Charles, for continuing to follow our area." Sheila's with Hope for NC, and she actually was the lady that got the emotional support lady on here for me. So she's been wonderful.
Well, good. Yeah, it's definitely something, and it's one of the things I talk about, because I have to put out warnings and different things on my social media and talk about it sometimes, and and I was saying this before a local YouTuber started using it, but he's more popular than I am on social media now. So it's like, wait a second. But, it's be prepared. Don't be scared.
That's right.
And, it's what y'all experienced a year ago, that's not normal, as you know. And so most storms are not going to be there. But at the same point in time, one of the things that always frustrates me is, for some reason, and that may be different for your area now, but a lot of people aren't scared of the water.
Right.
And as y'all saw, it can be extremely powerful. Yes. And it doesn't take, but we have way too many deaths from people that will just drive around a barricade even and think they can make it through, and then they get swept away and things like that. And so it's one of those deals of, if law enforcement, if Shane's out there putting up barricades,
you better listen.
Guys, there's a reason he's put it up there.
We all love our sheriff very much. We listen to him. If Shane says it, we're going to listen. That's for sure. And you don't realize how powerful the water is. I actually had to drive through the river the other day to get to one of my new projects, 576. And he's built himself a land bridge, like a low water crossing. So he's raised it up, and he's got the boulders. And it didn't appear to be but about this deep. But when I got in it, it was pretty deep. And I could feel it on the Hummer, like really pushing. I thought, oh, this is like, if there was any more water coming down that river, I could have not went across that.
Well, the other thing that happens, a lot of people don't realize, in a lot of the vehicles, the air intakes are low, sometimes just under the bumper. And so it could be an amount of water that, okay, you look at it and your vehicle could easily drive through it. And so the thought, let me do this. But then it sucks that water up into the engine. It kills the engine. And now what was water that you maybe could drive through 2 or 3 minutes later is all of a sudden, especially in the mountainous area, could be 4, 5, 6 foot of water. And now you're in trouble. Right. So it's just one of those things. It's, we use the saying, turn around, don't drown.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Turn around, don't drown.
But, what I think, we've allowed ourselves to be in such a busy society, and we just mentally think, well, that'll take me 30 minutes to go around, and I can't do that, right. or whatever the thought process. But, not trying to beat a dead horse there, but
no,
but
it's stuff we've got to talk about, especially here, because now everything is still so different than what we're used to. Even though it's been a year, when it does rain, when we do have a heavy rain, the flooding is different now. The creeks have not been dredged. Some of them haven't been cleaned out at all. And so everything flows a little differently. It seems to flood a lot easier now.
Well, and also some of your natural channels can get easier to get blocked with all the debris. Right. And so all of a sudden that water comes up in areas that maybe that amount of rain normally wouldn't do it. But But Stephanie, one of the things for me of doing this, all over the country, and seeing different disasters, and all of them are different.
Yeah.
It's not a situation, and this was worse than this one. Sometimes people will say, "Well, what kind of tornado? What's the rating?" Well, if your house got hit, it's an EF5.
Right.
It doesn't matter. If you're the only house that hit, it's terrible for you.
That's right.
And sometimes, just the smaller things don't make the national news, but it's still a big deal. But one of the things that I try to encourage, because I see a lot of these communities that get hit, a tornado plows through the middle of a community, and I can go back through there 6 months later, and you're going, there's not much done, and people are going, why? This is a long process. It takes a while. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's easy for people to get frustrated. As you've seen, I do a lot of volunteering with Samaritan's Purse and Mercy Chefs. Matter of fact, we did with Mercy Chefs the other morning when you went by there. They're still feeding people there out on the mountain. And but people will take their vacation, take times off, as y'all have already seen. And in a perfect world, they could come spend a year and get a house completed, but that's not reality. They can have a group that'll come for maybe a week or two, and then they have to go back to their lives. And then hopefully, and that's the thing I love about what you're doing, Stephanie, is you're sort of trying to bridge those gaps and go, okay, well, this group can come in from this church and they can do it for a couple of weeks. And then I got to find another group to come in, and because you don't get it done even in a month or two. Yeah. It's a long process.
Right. And then even in the middle of it, we've got our locals are doing it, right? So everybody's kind of working together. My guys from Ohio that are here this week at Friendship Church, they're amazing. Michelle says, "Thank you, Charles, for the best video on Stephanie and Rebuilding Hollers. It was so good, showing how amazing she is." Thank you, Michelle.
I'm saying the one we did with the Weather Channel, I assume she's talking about. Yeah, but when I had got to know Shane Hilliard, the sheriff, really well when we came there. And
in the very beginning, you were here like what, a week after the storm?
It was about 3. I was literally in Tallahassee for landfall of Hurricane Helene, and then the next morning they had me moved back to Atlanta because there was a bunch of flooding there. And so that was Friday night. And the plan was for me Saturday morning to come on to North Carolina. Well, I'd been fighting an illness that whole week, and it finally hit me Friday night like a ton of bricks. And I was still going to try to make it, but my boss called me. I called my doctor. He called in a prescription. I was getting it, and I was getting ready to come. And he could hear it in my voice. Yeah. I sounded, as Cantori said, "Pete, you sound like crap,"
Don't so.
And then when the boss called, he goes, "No, you're not. I'm not sending you to a disaster. We don't, Yeah. And it turned out to be a good thing because I was down hard for about a week. Made it back home. Unfortunately, didn't get to come up here, and that was hard for me because I want to be there to help tell the stories, to bring help. I can't stop the storms. They're going to come. Right. But if I can use my platform, the platform at the Weather Channel, to help tell the stories, then we know that, our viewers will respond. They respond giving to different aid organizations. In some cases, they'll go volunteer themselves. And, so just trying to do what we can to bring help, in this case, North Carolina. But then I looped around, and right behind it, as you know, we had another hurricane. And so I ended up back down that time in Tampa for Hurricane Milton. And then I barely got it on land. And 2 hours later, with some sleep, they sent me over to Fort Myers, where we had unfortunately several killed with a tornado that night before. And then after that, then they asked me to come back to North Carolina. So I was about 3 weeks afterwards, but then met Shane, and then Susie and Ricky, and, just immediately fell in love with his whole family.
How can you not, right? That's how this whole community is.
Right. And so, spent quite a bit of time. I was in Marshall and Swannanoa and different areas telling some stories then. And then he had called a few months ago and was talking about the 1 year anniversary thing y'all were putting together. Wanted to see if I could come back, and I'm like, well, it's the middle of hurricane season. We'll just have to see. And so then it worked out that I could come, but it wasn't going to be for that week. They wanted me to get some stories so that we could then put them together and air them during that time of the 1 year anniversary. So it was a couple of weeks before that. And so the first thing I did was call Shane and say, hey, I'm going to be able to come. Do you know some families, some people are still struggling to get, recover? And he said, all right, let me give you this name. Her name's Stephanie Johnson. She's got the pulse of this better than anybody around here. So that's how I got connected to Stephanie. And she was gracious enough to spend, I don't know, a bunch of hours in a couple
2 days.
Yeah. Well, okay. I started earlier in the morning. Some people sleep a little later,
Yeah, some people do. Some people do. Yeah.
So we had, but she took me around and met some wonderful people, and like Sherry, and was so excited to stop by. We actually stopped by there Saturday and saw her.
Isn't the house beautiful?
Yeah, it's coming along. Love all those, the notes from the high school kids. And I'm glad to see Mike Rowe is getting involved in that, because, Jeremy and what he's doing with those young boys and girls.
Yeah, we got girls now. We got 2 girls this year.
Right. And, what a great, and as I was talking to him, what some wonderful lessons those young people are getting, to where all of a sudden, we live in a society that's so selfish and self-centered.
Yes.
And for them to be able to do something for others, how incredible is that? And I hope that catches. I hope Mike Rowe's able to tell the story, and that gets caught all over,
He promised. He told us, he said, I'm going to tell the whole world what y'all are doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're thankful, because that's what it's about. And we do need programs like that all over the country. I mean, imagine.
Well, housing's an issue, not just because of disasters,
Yes.
but, housing's an issue, and affordability of housing is getting harder and harder,
Yes. But we could create programs that could really change, so that you've got your kids doing work. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the trades. I always have been. I mean, I think it's most important for children to know how to do things other than social influencer, because that's insane.
Well, Stephanie, let me ask you a question right now, since you're on my podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. But seriously, so give me a picture. So hopefully some of the people that follow me are watching this right now. Paint a picture of what you see you doing over the next few months there, and how, if somebody wanted to get involved, they could do that.
So, I have to call my friend at the Weather Channel to get exactly our forecast of what, but the persimmon seed said we're going to have snow. We have spoons in the
persimmon seed,
and we're going to have snow.
Persimmon seed.
Yeah, has a spoon.
No, the woolly worm. We went to the woolly worm festival last Saturday. That's what you listened to.
So what's the woolly worm say?
He said a lot of snow too.
Okay, so anyway, we're having snow. So we're definitely right now prepping hard to get people prepared for snow. We do that, with getting their RVs kind of insulated as best we can. Mike had a really great idea about, well, actually it was one of his crew members, about taking heat tape around the door, because, we have hundreds of people still in RVs. So when they heat up the inside of these tin cans, the outside condensates, and then it's freezing outside. So it freezes them inside. So they have to kick their way out in the morning. And so we're going to try to heat tape that, so that way we'll keep that from freezing. Most of my projects we've got through the foundations. And so we're going to be finishing out a lot of projects on the inside. But they're saying, my block guys are saying they can still set some stuff come January and February. So I'm hoping that we're just going to keep moving forward and doing our best to keep finishing houses, keep trying to get people in their houses all through the winter. Yeah.
Now, if somebody wanted to come volunteer to still help, and they're not part of a group already that's out here helping, do you have a way, if they contacted you, to maybe be able to put that into place?
Absolutely. So we have a couple different options. Here's our QR code for rebuildinghollers.org. We take skilled trades volunteers. So if you're a skilled tradesman, we would love to have you on our team to come and help us with different projects that we have going all the time. Always different projects are going. Every project is at a different phase. Two are very similar phases, but most all of them are at different places in their rebuild. And if we have folks that don't have skilled tradesmen, we are partners with the B-Log Community Center. And there we are building a home goods store. And they also provide all kind of food and supplies, furniture. We're stocking them up with appliances and heat sources, propane. And so we can always use volunteers at B-Log Community Center as well. They're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways, organizing volunteers and construction volunteers. We're hoping to even get some folks that like to do tree work soon, and we can continue getting on some of these trees. But we're just trying to keep moving with what our community needs. My main primary focus is still very much getting people home.
Yeah. And it's a long process, and and I know I don't want to divulge confidences in this, but I stopped in a little community that's still ravaged
Yeah.
from this hurricane, and was talking to the assistant fire chief, and he was talking about their firemen that he goes, literally every one of them has some level of PTSD still, and dealing with that, and but he said, in their community they've still got some roads that are uh, a problem, and you're having to still shut down traffic at certain points in time to work on that kind of stuff, and the community gets frustrated and it's not happening fast enough. And I'll just encourage you, from somebody, sometimes when you're not so close to it, and you're from the 10,000 foot like I am and just get to show up occasionally, that's normal. It's not. I know it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating that you think whatever governmental organization, be it county, city, federal, whatever, in my opinion, they never work as fast as we'd like to see them work. It just never
No.
happens that way. But that is just a process. And the better that you can do, to just realize it's moving forward. And one of the things I was sharing with Stephanie, now some may not know this about me, but I'm a former pastor. I joke around about it. I don't mean it seriously, but I said I finally realized that tornadoes were easier to deal with than deacons. But so. But one of the sermon illustrations I use, if you put your finger right in front of your face and you stare at it, it's pretty big. But if you leave your finger there and you look off at something in the distance, all of a sudden you can hardly see your finger. Sometimes when it's natural with what you've been through, that you've got all this you're trying to accomplish, it's right in front of you, it's staring you in the face. But sometimes when we can take our focus off of that and look on some others, sometimes I encourage Stephanie, some of you that maybe you're out there and you're frustrated and the house isn't coming along and you're working your butt off trying to get everything done. Hey, maybe take a day or two and go help somebody else. Wow. You're going, wait a second, but I got so much to do. It can be amazing how that can help you. Anytime I've ever helped others, I always receive a lot more than what I give. And so sometimes when we're just caught up in that, sometimes just to take a breather and get away from it and go help somebody else. And if everybody was doing that, then somebody's helping you a few days later.
Right.
So
I
I just want to encourage you, to think about that,
I think it's a great idea because it is hard. This is very
It's hard.
hard. It's hard for everybody, especially our neighbors that are living it every single day. And of course, now it's getting cold again. All the leaves are falling. It's going to be winter again, and then and with winter comes the scars, right? Because now we can see everything again. We can see all the damage again. I think that was what was so beautiful about this summer, is that everything was kind of hidden, and so now it's coming back. We're going to see it again. We're going to go through these hard times again with the winter. We still have hundreds of people that don't have bridges home. We're still in trouble. We still got problems, big problems here. And there is a lot of red tape with the town, or with the city, or the state and the federal level. So they've got a new program, Renew and See, that is helping people rebuild homes. It's the governor's program. But I found out if you applied for that program, say you're part of the bridge program for the state, and then you apply for Renew and See, they'll cancel each other out. You can't get both. You can't get a bridge and a home. Like it's just, so there's so many things that we've just got to keep figuring out, and so that's been the unique part about being a non-governmental organization, nonprofit, is that I don't have to deal with red tape. I don't have to deal with any hoops. I make sure my permitting is right. I make sure that we're doing everything the right way and rebuilding, but we don't have to jump through those hoops other than building properly. We're going straight to the need. And that's really exciting with the nonprofits, small nonprofits, and what we can do to make a big impact. Continually every day we're making big impacts. And
And as y'all are, you're not perfect either.
no,
And so there could be somebody that occasionally thinks that you didn't call back in the amount of time or get to them or whatever. Well, that's because we got people involved.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Listen, I want to tell y'all a secret. Are you ready for this? If you need to know the answers, I know exactly where to go to get all the answers.
Comment section.
The comment section on social media. They have all the answers in the world. They can sit around their keyboard and tell you everything you ought to be doing.
Right.
I'm wonderful, isn't it?
I had a guy tell me how to build a bridge the other day in the comment section.
But okay, yeah.
I deleted it.
Yeah. It's some of them are well-meaning,
Yeah.
but it's one thing I've learned in disasters. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It is. There aren't easy answers.
Right.
There aren't easy solutions. We can sit there and go, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? Why don't you do this? It's not as simple. There's a lot more to it than you imagine. And we just got to support one another, love on one another, pray for one another, and and just realize that in many cases, okay, we can't ever bring back those lives that were lost. But what I do see in a lot of cases, it may be 3 years, it may be 5 years, it may be 10 years down the road. You'll look back at this and you'll see some wonderful things that have happened, and there'll be a smile on your face, and you may actually end up with a better house, a newer house, better situation. Now, you wouldn't trade it for that. One of the homeowners that's just moved into one of those brand new homes, she was telling me, she said, I know I'm supposed to be happy. I got this beautiful brand new home, but I want what I had.
She does. Miss everything. Everything is gone. It's hard at every level. It's hard at every level.
But there's a new normal, and if we keep pressing forward, and it's there'll be a brighter day.
That's right.
It's coming.
That's right. I love it.
And,
thank you for that. Thank you for inspiration. We really appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you found Burnsville and that you've come not once but twice to check on us. And I pray that you'll keep checking on us. And
what do you mean twice? Been there 3 times now. Come on.
3 times? You were in Asheville. Asheville don't count.
No, hey, I came up there and went to church with y'all and
did. That's right. Was that not great church? Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I think so many times church gets away from them old-timey churches with that old-timey preaching and singing. Man, it goes straight to the soul.
Hey, man, we even got to have dinner afterwards,
So, fried chicken. Yeah. It was amazing. You're right. 3 times. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. And stuff.
So, but yeah, this is the greatest place, and I'm so thankful that you found us, and that God sent you to help us, because we definitely need help. And in the beginning, and it's always been for the last year, all of America is who's come to help us. All of America. They have not failed us. They love the mountains. They love Western North Carolina, and they're still helping us. And so we're so thankful for that, because that's what it'll take for us to get rebuilt and get everybody home.
And I'll tell you too, I don't know who all's listening here, but one of the things I came up, and I'm going to assume that it's true in a lot of the different aid organizations, but like I said, with Mercy Chefs, that's still feeding, the veterans home there in Asheville, that got damaged. I guess they can't live there, so they're in a hotel. But here's retired veterans that aren't in great health, and so they've got a tent, but they're still feeding them 2 or 3 meals a day, and stuff. And so they're doing about 1,000 meals a day a lot of these days. But the day we showed up, they only had one volunteer show up. And so, now when it's over a year later, normally there's lots of locals that can run because it's usually just a 3 or 4 hour shift, to do it. But, if you're listening to this and you're going, well, I didn't realize there's still needs out there. I'm not saying, you're welcome, Mercy Chefs, but it could be, with Stephanie in some way or whatever. There's still ways that they need help. You can take vacation if you live somewhere else and come out here and help them. It's still needed, and we need to keep banging the drum that it's not over. That the needs are still here, and I think you would agree they're going to be for a while.
Yeah, we're going to keep going through this for a while. But it's been amazing how so many other organizations have stepped up and are building, and I'm excited about that. You had said today that Samaritan's Purse finished 3 more houses here in Burnsville, and I'm so thankful for that because we've got to keep getting families home. That is huge. It doesn't matter to me who's building it, as long as they're getting built, as long as people are getting home, as long as my neighbors are warm, I'm happy. I'm so excited. So I hope that it'll continue to happen quick with everybody building and everybody pushing hard. I think it'll be amazing.
It's going to be a process, and but even with the high schoolers, it takes a little time to build that house.
It takes a little time to build that house. That's exactly right. We've got the next one started. I'm so excited. And it's going to be a different style. So it's going to be the 40-foot. So it'll be 40-foot long, and it'll kind of have the A-frame, but instead of her having a front porch, it'll be a side porch. So it'll be this huge kind of look. She calls it like a low country style. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Well, cool. That's that one just blessed my heart, just to see that, and and for me especially the aspect of, and as you know, Sherry's so excited about all those notes. I don't know, are they going to be able to finish out the inside in some way where she'll still be able to see those at all?
We have a surprise for her. No, we have to cover the walls. We're putting tongue and groove up, but we do have a surprise for her.
Okay, well, wonderful.
We have a good.
So you have to send me some pictures.
When you have this. Yeah, because that means a lot to her. So many hands touch our houses and our hearts and have helped us, and so we definitely want to find a way to make that special for her and keep that for her. So,
and then of course, one of the great things that I got to do this trip was to go over to Spruce Pine. And got to have some coffee and some, there's some special people over there.
Did you have a calamity?
No, I didn't. I don't remember what she meant. It had Trisha's name in it, so I had to have that. So that's what I went with, and stuff.
Trisha's the best. I'm glad you got to go to DT's and eat. I love it there.
They are wonderful people and everything. Yeah. So. It's just thank you for taking the time to introduce me to so many of your clients, and we were able to stop by and see several of them on this trip again, and just check on them and see how things were progressing.
I love that. It matters, and that's a big deal, as you know. Everybody just says, just don't forget about us, and I'm just their biggest fan. They're my friends, they're my neighbors. I love them with my whole soul, and I want them to be okay again. I want them to be okay.
I would ask your viewers on this podcast to really try to encourage you to be a little more exciting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm always worried about you. You're a little low key. You don't never show any emotion, never excitement. So maybe they can encourage you to be more exciting.
Down. I try. I do my best. I get so excited though.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
You got to see me dancing through the hardware store.
Yeah. And everything. She loves everybody big though, right?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I love so big. And it's so easy to do because they love back, I mean, it's just the best place in the world. So Well, I want to thank you for coming on here with us tonight. Is there anything else you would like to tell my amazing viewers?
Now, just please all the people that you know here that, just know that we're continuing to pray for us and pray for y'all and pray for your help. And, one of the things I like to say a lot is, I think personally that this isn't the Weather Channel, it's me, but I think prayer is important.
Very important.
But I also think sometimes God asks us to put feet to the prayers. And so, sometimes it may be going, okay, now I need to schedule some time to go, do that, or I may need to donate. I may need to help in whatever way I feel led that I can do that. But, I always think of the widow's mite. I thought, well, I can't give much. Well, it all adds
It
up.
does.
And so, we just have to do what God puts on our hearts and then trust Him for the rest of it.
That's right. God is so real. He's been so good to us this whole time. And he's touched so many people's heart to help us. And that's how we've been able to continue going. So I'm so thankful. So, all right, everybody. Y'all know I love y'all all so much. Thank you, Charles, for joining us. Thank y'all so much for loving me. Thank you so much for loving my community. I will see y'all later. The hardest part isn't the knowing. It isn't knowing everything that you have to do to get everything back right. The hardest part are the memories. Knowing exactly how it used to look before the storm. That's the hardest part.